just tell us, either one or both, what happens if all of these things get voted down? Where are we? Like, what? Do we have a budget? Do we not have a budget? Or is the budget hinging on these things or not? Or is it just, please explain that. I don't get it.
5 of the initiatives are connected to the budget. If these things go down, we are back. We're already upside down $8 billion. We're going to be upside down another $16 billion on top of that. And we go back to the table, as Elizabeth alluded to, we have to go back and negotiate the big 5 with a new Senate minority leader and try to negotiate another type of budget package. We are upside down at least $16 billion, possibly more. Okay.
What do you think? What do you think?
We are in a difficult time, and if they get voted down, we still do have the taxes that will happen for the next 2 years without the extension. So we still have that money that's coming in. We will have a big, obviously we're going to have this deficit. And to be honest with you, I'd have to defer to some of our state folks. Like I said, I'm a county expert. I was called in at the last minute. I'd love to take your information and be able to connect you with somebody who's like a statewide expert to actually be able to answer the question fully. And I apologize again.
I wish I was making up the numbers. I quite honestly wish I was.
My name is Brody Hill, and I mainly have a comment. I'm not from the San Francisco area. I'm from the East Bay because I enjoy your speakers. They're wonderful. I'm in a very conservative area. All our editorials, all the letters of the conservatives are against 1A because it's taxes. And you know what's going to happen. I talked to my assembly person who's a Democrat. She thinks these propositions are atrocious. She hates them. But the thing is, if they don't pass, there's no budget. And the Republicans are going to come back and they're going to say, see, they don't want taxes. And then they're going to even be more obstinate in trying to put together a budget deal. So, I'm torn, but I just wanted to throw that out, that you've got to think about the road down the line when there's no budget. What's going to happen?
So who is your legislator? Joan Buchanan?
Joan Buchanan, yes.
So Joan Buchanan was one of those races that we finally took back from the Republican Party last November, and it was our way of getting closer to that 2/3 threshold that we needed, but still fell 3 short.
I just have a quick question. I think you both probably agree that we need to get rid of this 2/3 rule. How are we going to do that, and when?
Well, if you remember in 06, was it 06? 06. Or primary of 06 or 04? I can't remember. All my cycles are now bleeding together. We tried this. We tried to amend it to 55% threshold and just got clobbered. And the reason is because the other side was smart. They did their polling. What they did is they connected legislators, trusting legislators, which right now the approval rating was 11% for legislators, to increasing taxes. And do you trust them? 65-35, it went down hard. A lot of polling being done right now, trying to figure out if we can amend the 2/3 without the ability to increase revenues, or with the ability. And obviously, without the ability, polls much higher. Now you're asking yourself, what's the purpose? Good question. Because you can do Belarus, you can do fees, you can do all sorts of things. You can actually get the budget passed and then worry about the revenue enhancements later and make it a separate issue and bring a lot more attention to it, which is one school of thought. I'm sort of torn on that one as well. I mean, I think if we're going to do this, especially in this climate, it's maybe going to be right for it.
Yeah, no, exactly. SEIU is looking into how, what is our strategy, how can we do this?
And we're looking together, by the way.
Yeah, I think we're doing it together. And because this is, it's absolutely limiting. And it's going to continue to be, we're going to, if we don't take care of this soon, we're going to be in this situation until kingdom come.
I don't think there's ever been a better time with public opinion to do it either.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, I have a couple of very quick comments. First, that from what it sounds like so far, 1A sounds an awful lot like the fiscal equivalent of a Patriot Act. A lot of weird stuff that you don't quite know is in there, but you suspect that there's something nasty in there. And the other remark I had would be that given that the Republicans said politicians are vehemently opposed to spending for services. It'd be nice if, say, the Democratic majority could try as a small experiment to cut off funding for government services to these Republican represented counties and see how they'd survive without such government spending.
That's an interesting thought. Have you ever been to any Republican districts?
They get the most money.
Yeah, well,
They get the most money.
there's a higher property taxes, revenue coming into their services locally. There's a huge imbalance.
I do have another question, and if anyone else has questions, we do have a few more minutes. Go ahead and raise your hand. I understand it's dire if this doesn't pass, but Rick, because your union or your association is so strongly affected by this, is that driving your position for it more than the good of the state? In other words, if CTA decided not to support it, which would be very difficult, but you joined forces with SEIU on something to follow it that would be positive, if we took control of this, are we allowing the governor to manipulate us?
Well, I mean, let me just say something here. It wasn't just the governor, right? Darrell Steinberg, the Senate Pro Tem, Democrat, Karen Bass, Speaker, the Democrat. They understood that this is the best package that they could get passed for that 2/3 vote. Somebody mentioned it earlier. What do we get when we go back? What happens if this thing doesn't pass? And you're right. It was driving the position. But we also think that public education is the foundation of our democracy. That's where it all begins. These are very hard choices to make. But this is the best we can get right now, and we understand that, and that's why we took the position we did.